Montana University System, in particular the two-year education division, has been working on adult outreach for some time. We have looked at things like assessing adult learner-friendly practices and establishing some baseline initiatives in order to better serve and reach out to adults in the state. Most recently, in January and February of 2014, the Montana University System, in conjunction with CALE, the Council for Adult and Experiential Learning, developed and distributed a Montana University System campus survey. And this survey was to find out what the current PLA policies and practices were at our Montana University System institutions. What we found in this survey is the most common PLA offerings at Montana institutions are ACE credit recommendations for military training and occupations, CLEP exam credit, AP exams, institutional and departmental challenge exams, and DSST exams. We did find that the ACE credit recommendations for military training and occupations was offered at all 14 institutions. Only 2 institutions accept ACE or NCCRS credit for evaluation of corporate or other training, and 5 institutions accept credit recommendations based on their own internal review of corporate training. Then we found that 4 Montana University System institutions offered portfolio assessment. Something else that we're doing is working on a pilot project with currently 2 of our Montana University System institutions being participants. One is in Billings and the other is in Havre. They're piloting the learningcounts.com initiative via a Lumina Foundation funded initiative with CALE. This 2-year initiative will allow Montana's adults an opportunity to access online PLA and portfolio assessment, and we're very excited to see how that turns out. Well, this is a work in progress. We currently have appointed an MUS task force working to determine and define PLA best practices for Montana colleges and universities. And this is designed to assure quality, consistency, and applicability to degree and certificate requirements. The task force will also develop recommendations for PLA policy and standards, and this will help us ensure academic rigor and provide for appropriate recognition of PLA credit awards on transcripts and in transfer among Montana's institutions. I think that PLA as a process does allow adults to think about what they've learned and to consider ways to validate what they know. Although PLA advisors can help point an adult in the direction of possible ways to validate learning outcomes, the adult learner takes the steps to prove what he or she knows. Portfolio assessment is considered the most extensive process to validate learning and definitely requires a great depth of understanding of subject matter. So definitely the learner does own their learning obtained in portfolio assessment. Studies such as CALE's Fueling the Race to Post-Secondary Success have shown that when comparing PLA students with non-PLA students, that the PLA students earned more credits toward a degree, earned more institutional credits than non-PLA students, and finally, the PLA students persisted longer. In Montana, we have not tracked PLA students to determine factors such as persistence. However, it is one area that our PLA task force will be discussing and will determine if we have resources to do so in the future. Number 1 is be patient. Depending on your starting point, some changes may take years, and it may need to just to gain trust and buy-in on some of these different processes and ways to assess learning. Also, start looking at overall practice and approach to serving adults. Gather information on your students, look at what your current student body age is at your differing institutions. Look at what you have as far as part-time versus full-time, so you can kind of understand where they're coming from. Know the demographics of your state. Find out what the population forecast is. Is your state aging? Do we have an influx of younger people coming into the state? Know what's going on in your state. So it's really important to assess what's currently happening on the ground before starting. Have that baseline amount of information. It's very important to engage your faculty, staff, administrators, and students as much as possible when you're looking at building capacity. In other words, everyone needs to be involved, and you want everyone to have a stake in this and everyone to be a champion for your PLA policy. Get support from your Higher Education Central Office. Get support from your campus leaders, from your governing board, from your governor, and or your lawmakers. Engage your student advocates, and also make sure you engage your workforce. Those are just a few ideas to look toward.